welcome. And welcome back to Heretic Tarot. If you're new, thank you. If you're a current subscriber or if you're back, also thank you. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all of the things that help me get some traction in the algorithm, because isn't that just life, right? Algorithms. Anyway, I wanted to do this quick intro. I did not do this on the Scorpio video. That's okay. But I wanted to do this quick intro because it's 2023 and we are no longer going to assume that people know things without us actually telling people those things, right? And asking for what we want. So I do want you to subscribe to the channel. I want you to come back, press the notification thing, bell thing, so you know the videos are posted whenever they get posted. I would love that. Also, I do have an Etsy store. The link is below, because in true manifesting generator form, my soul cannot just have one thing to focus on. I have to have a bunch. So I do have that. I actually have 2 Etsy stores. One of them is on vacation for now. What else? I am working on getting personal readings back up and running since I've been back, but also just kind of trying to surrender to the flow of that. I mean, I know that'll come exactly when it's meant to. Was there anything else? On Instagram, I post daily, quickie energy reads, like, tarot updates. I was posting those on YouTube, but like on YouTube Shorts, but there's like a 60-second limit to those, and they've just been longer than that. So my Instagram is going to be linked below as well, so check that out. What else? I thought that there was more, and now I'm like drawing a blank, because that's what happens when you are a little vulnerable, I don't know. I guess I'm going to leave it there. If there is anything else, I'll mention it at the start of the video. Hello. Again. Because I'm pretty sure I said that at the beginning, like the intro. But this is how we're deciding who's next. There's only 5 more, so it's not as easy. There we go. I was going to say, they're not like jumping out like they were when there was 24 in there. 3, 5. Let's do it. I don't know if any of that just even made any sense, because I wrote down all of the zodiac signs and all of the human design profiles onto pieces of paper like this, and then I threw them in the bowl, and just by rustling them up, like, that's how the order has been chosen so far. And since there's not as many left, they just kind of get caught up in each other. Anyway, moving on. So for these readings, I'm just going to read a quick paragraph from a website called humandesignTools.com. I'll include the link in the description below, of course, if you want to check it out for yourself. And then we'll get an oracle card for the overall vibe. And then, of course, we'll get some additional information with the tarot. So the 3rd line is the martyr line, and on this website they call it the experiential line. And the 5th line is the heretic or heretic line. And it says, others live vicariously through your experiences. You are a catalyst for change, and people like to live vicariously through you, for better or for worse. Many celebrities have a 3-5 profile. It can be difficult for you when you've experimented and failed, after everyone has been projecting onto you and holding you in their, and holding you That doesn't make... So I'm not the only one that has weird... weird words, I guess. Let me read this. Okay. It can be difficult for you when you've experimented and failed after everyone has been projecting onto you and holding you their own expectations. Embracing the ups and downs and the messiness of life, regardless of what other people project onto you, will draw the correct people to you in the end. When you get into this flow, you'll have some of the most likable and magnetic energy of all of the profiles. I like that. When you get into this flow, you'll have some of the most likable and magnetic energy of all of the profiles. Very interesting. How does that sound to you? I wish they would have named some of the celebrities that have 3-5 profiles. I believe that Adele, no, I think Adele has a 2-5 or 5-2 profile. I can't even think of a celebrity that has a 3-5. I just like being able to, it's like, you know, putting a name to a face type of thing. You know, just I learn, maybe that's just the way that I learn, you know, is just kind of seeing other people go through their process. But yeah, you know, that third line is that trial and error line. And, you know, it's like figuring out how things work by figuring out how they don't work, which can feel like failure, and other people can even deem it to be that way. And then the fifth line is, you know, other people projecting their own expectations, like it was saying. And if you don't live up to those expectations, then, you know, they kind of turn on you, basically, which is hard if you don't understand that that's what's going on, you know. Ooh. This card has not been out yet. Extremes. It's number 34. That could have some significance to you, or 7. Hot moon. This person is sweating. I mean, you know, like there's clearly an energy of it being hot, or at least maybe even stressful. There's a book open here. Very interesting. And of course, with it being extremes, it's like, you know, extreme in what sense? I think it would probably depend on, you know, like your situation. We'll get some tarot and see what the story is. But yeah, I mean, you know, is there something, you know, that you are taking to extreme on, you know, one end or the other of the spectrum? You know, do you feel some level of stress? Like, is there a deadline approaching, whether that's like self-imposed or with work or something along those lines? It's almost like, you know, is your head kind of taking it to a place? We have, speaking of, we have the Ace of Swords. We just need 5 more cards. New ideas. The Knight of Swords. Yeah, I mean, taking those ideas and running with them, literally. The cards do have to actually come out. Could be something from the past. The Page of Swords. I mean, this is very... We have swords and cups on the table here. So mental and emotional, which is good, you know, if those two things are in balance. Just one more. I mean, that's 2. Okay, let me make sure everything is in frame here. Okay. I just had to move some things around, grab some water. And then the Queen of... This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Okay. Just in the sense that, like, literally, like I said, everything that's on the table is mental and emotional. And it's almost like, you know, are we trying to get those two things in balance or lined up and heading in the right direction? But let's just work our way through it. So we start with the Ace of Swords, and I absolutely effing love that we start with the Ace of Swords, we end with the Queen of Swords. We have two queens here also at the end. So there is definitely something that you are it's definitely starting to get clear. So Ace of Swords, like I said, is about, is about new ideas. It's truth, honesty, you know, divine truth. What is true for you? We have all of these equations around here, symbols. Clearly there's a staircase. There could be, you know, you could be studying. There could be just something, you know, mentally that you are kind of, you know, putting the pieces together, because aces are new also. So, you know, like there could even just be a new understanding about something in your life. And with it paired with the Six of Cups, the Six of Cups is about nostalgia. It's a card of the past, literally where we started to where we are now. I mean, these could be, you know, the same people, just older. Like this is the kid and a puppy, and then this would be them presently. So, you know, there's a lot of reminiscing that goes on with the Six of Cups also. So, you know, you could be something from your past. You could be healing. Like this could be inner child work. There's that sentence that said it can be difficult for you when you've experimented and failed and everyone has projected onto you. So that could be what this is. And even with the extremes card, I'm very much like one of those people that my belief is that in order to, you know, kind of find the balance, like the happy medium in the middle, it's almost like you have to go from one extreme to the other, you know. And I feel like that's just part of the process, because if you've been stuck in an energy for so long where you had a certain belief about yourself based on projections from, you know, family, friends, siblings, you know, whoever, from childhood. And that's the reason why I'm even talking about childhood, is because this card is on the table. You know, if there are just certain stories that we have attached, because with swords, I see them as also being the card of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is made up of those things. It's made up of experiences and the stories that we have attached to those experiences, and how we've kind of brought that baggage with us throughout our lives, right? And then if we're lucky enough, we get to a point where we're just like, you know what? That story doesn't even fit me. Like, that's not a belief that I have about myself. That's not a story that I want to continue exploring or giving any kind of energy or mental space to. And then we start working our way backwards, and we figure out where, for the most part, where that story would have originated from. And then it's a matter of deciding, is this actually mine? Like, is this a story that I believe about myself? You know, like, is this how I want to continue to tell the story about myself, or to make myself think this way? And then you get to decide yes or no. And if it's not yours, if it's not a story that, you know, fits like your authenticity, then it's a matter of letting that go and making different decisions, which will change even the future. Because the six, you know, like I said, this is definitely inner child. This could even be, you know, depending on what your age is, of course, this could be 10 years ago. It could be 5 years ago. It could be a month ago. Like, It could be yesterday, you know? And then it's deciding, like, going forward, how do I want to interact in my life? How do I want to view the experiences that I'm having? Embracing the ups and downs and the messiness of life, regardless of what people project onto you. Like, you know, it's making different decisions about what your perception is going to be. And like I said, you know, if you have been kind of on the extreme side of you know, insecurity and not doing something because of fear of failure or fear of those projections or, you know, whatever, then it's almost like, you know, the opposite of that is like trying everything and YOLO. Of course, check your own strategy and authority with that, because your strategy and authority is going to help you determine the correct experiences to experiment with. I love this. I love when this happens, because some people would even call it like an ego death, because again, right, there is something about your ego that you have, you know, almost dissected all the way. You know, you see all the bits and pieces of it, and what has made that part of your ego become that part of your ego. And then, like I was saying, you decide if that is true for you. And if it's not, that is an ego death. And then look at this here. We have the Page of Swords and the Knight of Swords. Obviously, the Knight of Swords is first up here. Both of these have to do with acting on information or acting on inspiration as far as like thought. You know, we have the Knight of Swords, and on the bottom of their shoe is, you know, the binary code. Is that what it's called? Like the zeros and the ones, computer techie stuff, I think. If I'm wrong, correct me, of course. But it's like, whatever this information is, it's like acting on your own code. And literally, I mean, like your own design, even. Like I said, checking in with your strategy and authority, because that's going to help you determine what situations are correct for you to head into. You know, they're clearly running towards the motorcycle here, so they're going to be heading in a direction. Swords having to do with our thoughts. So, you know, ideas, again, perceptions. This could be, you know, finding something that, or getting involved in something that is correct for you without even like your own expectations. And it could be something that you have an interest in. This could be something that you've been studying for some time, clearly. You know, this figure is reading a book. We have all these light bulbs up here. There's this element of like trust within yourself though, because they are crossing this little gap here. I mean, they're walking on the sword. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I can't see the camera screen. But this is the Ace of Swords right here. And they are just using it like a tight wire. Is that what it's called? Tightrope. There's all of this energy coming out of this book also. And like I said, you know, even in this extremes card, see it, there's a book here. So, you know, there could be a significant book. Like if there is a book that you've been wanting to pick up and read or purchase or read again, definitely do that. And this situation could be happening because you read a book that almost just kind of like it blows your mind, because it helps you like shift your perspective on your experience, or even like how you even feel about yourself. Like even with human design, that's what human design pretty much like did for me and still continues to do to this day. Like the more that I research and talk about it and talk to other people about like their designs, because there were so many things that I just thought, like I'm a 5/1. So I have that fifth line projection field. But I have it on the conscious side. And there were so many things that I just thought were inherent flaws my whole effing life. And then five-ish years ago when I stumbled into human design, the first thing I read about was my profile which is part of the reason why I chose a profile as being how I was going to do these readings. Because when I read about my profile, I was like, I mean, literally in tears, because nobody, and I'm not being dramatic, nobody believed like my experience as I was telling them about it. And literally to read it on, I mean, obviously it was on the internet. It wasn't a book that I was reading. So this could also be internet, but literally reading my experience and having that validation, I was like in effing tears. And I was like, I have to know absolutely every effing thing there is to know about this system. And that's also probably a lot of my first line investigator. That could be, you know, like almost what's happening here as well. Like, you know, just some form of validation coming in the form of something that you've ingested either on the internet. And it's more like, it's just about like accepting, like radical self-acceptance, right? And how that really empowers us to take more risks, you know, and go after things that we are interested in, which is this Knight of Swords. And talking about empowerment, we have the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords over here. I was trying to put the Five of Cups behind there. Let me, if I can move this over just a smidge. And I love this because when I talk about the queens, it's when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. Like we're able to recognize the energy of the suit within ourselves. All three fives are going to have a right angle cross of something. And right angle crosses are when you learn things by observing them within yourself first. And then it's like you can recognize them within other people. And that's what the queens are. It's when we are able to recognize the energy of the suit within ourselves. And only then can we express it to other people. Like RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? And it's true, because you wouldn't even believe them if they said that they loved you. Because you would be like, well, how could you love me if I can't? Like, there's no way. So speaking of love, we have the Queen of Cups here. And also, you know, talking about radical self-acceptance. This is like that surrender, you know, like I just get this feeling of like surrendering to self, like surrendering to who you are, who you want to be. What is a vision that you have for yourself with all of these swords out here, even the Queen of Swords here. They're sitting in water, you know, I mean, just their posture, their body language here. There could even be a need just for, you know, a meditation practice to some degree. But like I said, you know, it's more of this feeling of radical self-acceptance. They have the Ace of Cups here. And cups are, like I was saying, about our emotions, about love, the heart space. How do you feel about yourself? How does this make you feel about yourself now, without other people's expectations or without thinking about how other people are going to react to it? And how do you want to feel about yourself going forward? We have the Queen of Swords. I kind of love that in the Queen of Swords, the Ace of Cups is there. Even though it's kind of locked away, it's still there. So it's like you really can't get away from that. Like, you can't really think your way out of a heart decision. You can. It's not going to feel good. I'm sure you know that. But this is somebody who's also like clear in thought. They're even looking towards the future here. They're looking, you know, to the right side of the card, which is the future. So looking forward, they're holding on to the Ace of Swords here, their divine truth. What is true for them? What is, you know, like their true perspective? And then even with it being paired with the Five of Cups, there's some sort of release going on here that's emotional. You know, we have this figure that's pouring out this cup. It's going down this drain looking thing. And again, there's even this Ace of Cups here that has, you know, all these different colors in it. It's still full, holding on to only what serves you. And I know, you know, like, I mean, it takes some time to work through all of that, but there's a release going on here. What a beautiful journey, and good for you. It's not easy, but it's literally like the best thing, the best gift that we could ever give ourselves. We have the Three of Cups here, and you know, that thing was talking about, it literally just wouldn't let me see. When you get into this flow, you'll have some of the most likable magnetic energy of all of the profiles. You will draw the correct people to you in the end. And that's what this card is. This card is about the correct people. It's your support group, it's your community, it's your family, usually chosen family. And maybe that circle is a little smaller than it is right now. I'm like one of those people where I'd rather make $1 out of 4 quarters than 100 pennies or 10 dimes or 20 nickels, right? Like, I've never been one of those people that had like a huge group of people, and that might just be because of the projection field. But yeah. And this is also a card of celebration, release, which, you know, is coming after letting this go with the Five of Cups. Now we have some fire. Now we have some fire. This is the Seven of Wands is standing your ground. This is you deciding like, no, this is me. This is it. This is the direction that I'm heading in. These are the actions that I'm going to take. This is how I'm going to be perceived. And, you know, I always see these wands down here as being other people's projections. It's their fears, their doubts, their expectations. And then this figure is just kind of in this bubble looking thing here, like not letting it phase them, not even acknowledging, you know, their presence either. The Two of Wands, choosing maybe even to go in a different direction, but also having the freedom to do that. We have this globe here. There's a car. They're again looking towards the future, just kind of gazing out this window at like, you know, what is possible. And really, you know, when you do go through this process, there are so many other possibilities that show up because now you are seeing them from your own perspective, from your own strategy and authority, not somebody else's. The Hierophant, there's a level of evolution and I want to say even like enlightenment. But, you know, the Hierophant talks about learning. I keep getting this feeling about like doing the right thing. We have this staircase here, and I don't know if you're, again, going to be able to see this, but there's all these symbols around their head. So it's taking in information from many different modalities or systems and just exploring them as you want to, experimenting with those things. And again, even like, you know, this kind of like freedom to do so. The Ace of Cups here, are you kidding? The Ace of Cups is right there, but it's at the heart space. Four of Wands, again, celebration. It's so interesting how, and the Hierophant is earth, but it's so interesting how on the table, everything is air and water, you know, swords and cups. Oh my God. I just put that together because like extremes, right? With this card here, we have one extreme, which is air, mental, the other extreme, which is water or your emotions. And then at the bottom of the deck is where all of the fire shows up. And it's like after you go through, or as you're going through even this process, is when that motivation and fire shows up. Beautiful. I'm leaving it there. Thank you so much for the honor of reading your cards. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.